Hi everybody. So today I'm going to be demonstrating how to use Sumo Paint and a few other features with it. I know we've already messed around with the brushes and the colors some, but I'm going to demo for you another feature that we haven't talked about at all, and that is layers. And I'm going to show you how I kind of start a project and how layers can help you to make a more interesting composition. Now you guys are working on making a monument to an explorer. I don't want to do the exact same thing as you guys, so I'm going to what I'm going to do today here is going to show you how to do, I'm going to do a house. But the same basic ideas are there. I'm going to use different layers to make this house scene, and then you guys can use some of the same techniques when you're approaching your work. All right, so basically layers. Down here in this bottom right-hand corner is where your Sumo Paint is organizing its layers. And basically what this means is I sort of think of it as like a big stack of papers, and you've got paper on top of paper on top of paper on top of paper. And basically each paper has a different part of your picture on it. And when you stack these papers up on top of each other, if you kind of see through them and see all of them all together, it kind of puts all of these pictures together. So I'm going to start off by, let me show you, it's probably a little easier if I just sort of tell you or show you kind of what I'm doing. So I'm going to start off my picture by I'm going to do today sort of 3 different layers. For my house, I'm going to do sort of a background sky. I'm going to do a hill, and then I'm going to do the actual house itself. And each of those I'm going to put on a separate layer so that then if I ever want to do any adjustments on just one of them, I can adjust one of them without messing around and messing up everything else. All right, so my first one here is going to be, I'm going to actually start off with the sky. And since the sky, I'm going to start off with this lovely sky blue. I'm actually going to do the whole thing here. I'm going to go to Paint Bucket. And yes, I'm painting in blue. And I'm going to do the whole thing. It's going to be a little blue. All right. And that's all very fine and good. My sky now takes up my entire paper. And you say, well, that's very nice, but we'd like some other things in this picture besides sky. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a kind of a grass layer to this. So I'm going to go down here to my layers. I'm going to add a new layer. And you can see that I just added another layer here on top. Now this layer is transparent. This checkerboard means it's transparent. You can see through it. So since I don't have anything else on this layer, all I see coming through is sky. It still looks like all sky. We're going to change that in just a second. All right, let's put some grass on here. To do that, I'm going to actually use a brush, and I want a soft brush here because I want really the focus is going to be on my house. For you guys, it's going to be on your monument, right? For me, it's going to be on my house. So I don't want the grass to be too overwhelming. I just want kind of a soft grass in here to give people an idea, but not to get too much of their focus. So now I'm going to come over here to my color palette. I don't know, that looks a little pale compared to my sky. That's kind of nice. What do you think of that green? You like it? Pretty good? Okay, let's do it. So I'm going to start, and I'm going to, whoop, yeah, we're fine. I'm going to start by just kind of maybe drawing oh, we're still in blue. What's going on? Try again, take 2. There we go. So I'm just going to kind of make a line using my mouse. Or click and drag here across my paper. Now, one thing you'll notice is that the Sumo Paint canvas is larger than your screen, so I have to come down here to the arrow and kind of, come on, scoot it forward. There we go. So I can fill up the whole space. There we go. And that's going to be sort of my grass line. You say, okay, well, that's very nice, but now I see sky down in your grass. So let's change that. Okay, you can see here I am working on this layer. Whatever's highlighted tells you what layer you're working on. So I'm working on my grass layer. In fact, actually, I'm going to rename this right now so I remember what this is. This is grass. Let's name this one sky. All right, all's good. Let's go back to grass. And you can see here it's drawn the green line, but that's all it's got because everything else is showing through from the sky below. So let's go over here now to my paint bucket. Make sure I'm in green, and I'm going to fill the rest of this in. Boom, there we go. Now look over here. Oh, that whole thing now is green grass. I really don't like, you can see that there's this sort of line here where my grass and my kind of bleeds through from that pen line I did before. So I'm going to go back up to my oil brush, and I'm going to Yeah, I'm going to just kind of fix that up, clean that up a little bit. So I'm just going to take my brush and kind of clean it up. You know, I can go over certain areas. We talked last time about how you can go over certain areas like a bunch of times, and that'll put thicker paint on, thicker color on. I'm just going to kind of go on and do like this. Okay. Now, of course, I would want to go on and do the whole left side too. Let's just see if I can do that real quick. Now, I said that actually, let's move on. I'm going to come back and add some more things here in my grass layer, and I could do that in my sky layer as well, but I want to get all three of my elements on here. I'm going to now go to my house. So I have my grass layer, I have my sky layer. I'm going to add a third layer, and that's going to be my house. So let's call this house. And I don't know, maybe a nice kind of warm brown. Ooh, purple. That's a little much. Yeah? Pink. Ooh, I want brown. Yeah, that's nice. All right. Now, what I'm thinking is, personally, I'm not a very skilled artist, so I'm actually going to use some of my shapes over here, and I'm thinking I'm going to use kind of a general rectangle shape. Now, what I'd like the computer to do is put a rectangle on here, but watch what happens. I put this rectangle on, so I put it right about here. Now watch what happens. Okay. Oh, I have this lovely, it's actually outlined in brown, I don't know if you can tell, but the inside of it is white. Like, wait a minute, that's not what I wanted to have happen. The reason for that is your fill color. I haven't filled that rectangle with the color that I want it to fill with. So actually, I'm going to take this one off, and I'm going to show you how to do a solid color shape. Let's get rid of that. Let's try again. So if I go up here to fill, what I want to have happen is I want this to be a solid color. So right now I've clicked on this, which shows that it's going to be a solid color. If I do this, it'll fill my my rectangle in checkerboard. It'll fill it in sort of a gradient, all sorts of different gradients. Here's like a circle pattern. Okay, that's great, but that's not what I would like my house to look like. I would like my house to be all one color. All right, so I'm going to click here. It's going to be a solid color, but the problem is right now that it's filling it with white, and I would like it to fill it with this color here. So I'm going to look here, and this is the color brown. That code there is the color brown that I'm using. It's like 6, 6, and then 4 zeros. So what I need to do if I want the inside to be that same color, whoopsie, sorry, bear with me. I'm going to click here, I'm going to go to color, and down here I'm going to enter that code there. Ah, there it is. See 6, 6, and then 4 zeros, and right over here, same color. So now I know it's going to outline, and it's going to fill with the same color. Yay! Kaloo-kalay, hooray for me. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to come down here, and I'm going to draw my house. And there it is. Yay. All right. Now, I'm not going to go through a lot. I think, you know, what I might then do next might be putting a roof on it. So I might be taking a line tool and starting to maybe draw a roof, you know, something like this, right? And then I can fill that in and make that the same color, et cetera, et cetera. But I think you guys get the sort of general idea. What I want to spend a little bit more time now on is sort of these layers. And like I said before, the advantage of layering is that then you can work on different sections and alter them without changing your entire picture. So what I'm going to do here, I want to come back to the grass. I'm going to work on this layer a little bit. You can see it shows up here. This is where I'm working. Okay. Now, what I notice is when I have a solid color here like this, what ends up happening is it looks kind of fake. Like if you look at this house, like no house is like that perfectly rectangular and like flat colored, and same thing with the grass, right? So let's go and let's add some texture to this on this layer. So let's take my, I already added, ooh, let's go ahead actually first and let's add some little texture lines. So first I'm going to take my oil brush. Ooh, I'm still in pink. Let's get back here to this green. let's see, I do not know how to get to that green. Okay, let's take this one. Let's add a little color to it. It's a little lighter color. Just by adding some other strokes in here, it looks a little bit more realistic. And now I'm going to go in, and I know you guys saw me do this one before. Take this brush. Let's put a little bit of, make it a little darker. What I'm going to do is add some grass bunches here. And you can see that when I do that, and then I drag my mouse a little bit too to get some little clumps, that it ends up looking, if you look at the picture as a whole, it looks more like a picture really would look. Now, I'm on my grass layer here, so if I do this, my house layer is on top of the grass. So you can see that when I go up over here, right, if I try to do grass, it's not going to actually do anything because that layer is underneath the house. If I wanted to switch these two, watch this. Now you can see that the grass is actually on top of the house. So that's another way that you can do it as well. Okay. Now the last thing I might want to do is let's add one more layer. Some people want to include some text. And so I'm going to do that by making a separate layer just from a text. And so now you can see I'm on the top layer here, and I'm going to say, by text I mean the word. So I'm going to say, I'm going to name this, let's see, title. Okay. And so now I'm going to make a little title here on my house. I'm going to put some words in here. For your monument, it might be like, monument dedicated to Cabrillo, or whatever you want to say. But I'm going to go click on my T for text, and I'm going to make a little text box here. And I'm going to type. It did not work. Okay. Okay, let me try one more time. This is the same trouble that Isabel and I were both having. House. There you go. Okay. So now you can see that this, oopsie, excuse me, I don't want that. Now I have a label for my project as well. All right, so basically, today what we learned was how to do layers, how to add some texture by putting some things on different layers, how to layer things on top of each other, and basically how to make different things, different layers, so that then you can adjust. We'll talk some more about adjusting when we actually get into our project. Okay, I hope you enjoyed this very much. I look forward to working with you guys on your